of movie reviews. This time I will be reviewing the 1999 sci-fi movie The Matrix, starring Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne. As always, I'm your host, Red Hood 29. Let's get into this mix. So, when we first look into, The Matrix, when the movie cuts on, it's green matrix code, scattered throughout the computer screen, much like how rain falls, you know, it hits the windows and just, trickles down. The matrix code does the exact same way. We get a voice of Trinity and Cypher. Cypher's like, hey, you know, uh, you looking for the new guy, right? She was like, Trinity was like, yeah. He was like, we're gonna kill him, right? You're gonna kill him, right? You're very interested in him. She was like, oh, please don't be ridiculous. Morpheus believes he's the one. He was like, do you believe? He was like, it does. She does. She was like, doesn't matter what I believe. And, she was like, hey, are you sure this line is clean? And he was like, yeah, it's clean. She was like, I better go. And so she leaves, and then we get this super long shot of like, binary numbers with the code, and we're transported to like a warehouse type thing with, an old school monitor set up. And then we get a shot of police, and these agents stroll up. This one agent named Smith, he was like, hey, your orders were for your protection. He was like, hey, he was like, hey, your orders were for your protection. He was like, I think we can handle one little girl. He was like, yeah, no. He was like, no, Lieutenant, your men are already dead. And then the cops bust down the door, and Trinity makes light work of the cops, which, prompts the agents to follow her. A chase ensues, and she, like, crashed through a building window with her guns drawn. She winds up going to, you know, this telephone booth, and gets, ejected out of the Matrix, but not before the agents find their next target, their informant for the next target, Neo. So after that, we get a shot of, a old school tech computer setup, much like a gaming setup, but old school tech setup. Yeah, old school gaming setup tech. And so Neo's like sleep at his computer. He's trying to find the hacker named you know, Oracle type guy named Morpheus. He's just falling asleep, listening to music. He gets a message on his computer saying, hey, follow the white rabbit. The Matrix has you. Open the door. Uh, by Trinity. He opens the door. He creates this hacker program and gives it to like these guys, and he gets paid for it. He's like, interestingly a note, interesting to note that one of the dudes, he was like, "Hey, hallelujah, you're my savior, man." Personal Jesus Christ, which is an allegory for like Neo later on in the film. And he was like, "Hey, if you get caught using that," the dude was like, "Hey, I know you don't exist. You weren't here." And so the dude's girl, du jour, was like, "Hey, why don't you come with us?" And so he follows her because she got a white rabbit tattoo on her shoulder, and so he meets up with Trinity in there, and she tells him like, "Hey, about the Matrix." You know, well, she didn't tell him about the Matrix, but she, it's like, "Hey, the Matrix has you. People are coming to get you. You want to know the question?" He was like, "What is the Matrix?" And it was like, "Yeah." So he winds up sleeping in to where he's late for work, gets reprimanded by his boss, goes back to his cubicle, receives a payphone, just electronic wireless phone, also known as a cell phone. Uh, After that, he speaks with Morpheus through the phone. He was like, "Hey, the agents are coming. Do exactly what I tell you to do. Hey, go to the end of the hall. There's a cubicle like right across from you. Go to it, empty it. It's an empty cubicle. Go and wait here for just a moment. Go down to the end of the hall. Um, is a office, uh, empty office room. Now go to the window, open it. There is a scaffolding, you know, that leads you to the roof and will, extract you. So, hey, you can get up out of here. He uh he decides to go with the agents. The agents interrogate him, question him about where Morpheus is, where Morpheus is. He denies it. He was like, "Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I just want my phone call." Smith, he was like, "Hey, we're willing to wipe the slate clean with you. We know you're a hacker. Yeah, we know you're a hacker and trying to contact Morpheus and whatnot. Give up the information that you know about Morpheus and we'll like wipe the slate clean for you." He was like, "No," and flips him off. Agent Smith's like, "Hey, what good is a phone call if you're unable to speak?" And like just wipes his mouth to a point where he doesn't have a mouth. He puts like this bug inside of Neo's belly button where he winds up waking up. And so he's going to go see Morpheus for real. They send a car to pick him up. It's now we get to see like Trinity, uh, Switch, and APOC. When he gets in the car, Switch like has a gun straight to his face, like, "Hey, lift up your shirt." He was like, "What?" She was like, "Stop the car." Hey, they get, Trinity was like, "Hey, uh, you've been down that road. You already know where it leads. This, that, and the third." So Trinity extracts the bug inside of Neo. They wind up going to this abandoned apartment hotel, uh where she finally like reveals to Neo. He was like, "Hey," she was like, "Hey, one piece of advice, be honest. He knows more than you could possibly imagine," which leads me to believe that, leads us to believe that Morpheus is an all, knowing individual, because, Morpheus in Greek mythology is, you know, he's basically the god of dreams. So, yeah. So, it was soon as Neo sees him, he's like, it was that one clap of thunder and lightning, that dramatic reveal. He's like, "It's an honor to meet you." He was like, "No, the honor's mine. Please have a seat." He was like, "I can understand, like, this may be, a bit of a shock for you." He starts getting all deep with Neo. He was like, "Hey, do you, believe in fate?" He was like, "Why not?" Neo's like, "Why? No." He was like, "Why not? Because I don't believe in, like, I feel in control of my life." Like, he was like, "I know exactly what you mean." He was like, "Do you want to know what the Matrix is?" He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Unfortunately, we can't disclose to you what the Matrix is. You can only, see it for yourself. See it for yourself." So, after that, Morpheus hands him, a red or blue pill. The blue pill, like, suppresses, like, the blue pill acts like a stimulant to, like, have you, like, in a dream world, just comfortable, just, yeah. The blue pill has you in a dreamlike state to where, like, you can wake up and believe whatever you want to believe. The red pill opens your eyes to the truth. It's basically like Alice in Wonderland, Alice through the looking glass. So Neo takes the red pill, and here's where we get the meat and potatoes. The pill that that Neo took was a trace program designed to designed to locate his body in the real world. Because as we'll come to find out, the real world was like, it was messed up. Like, so when he takes the red pill, then that's when they meet, Cypher, Switch, APOC, and then, Morpheus, like, sits him down in front of, like, a mirror, to where, like, he takes, both of his fingers and, like, puts it inside the mirror where it's like a liquidy, you know, almost like it's assimilating him, but it's not assimilating him. Uh, and then Morpheus is, hits him with, "Hey, have you ever had a dream to where you thought it was real? That you," he, he basically hit him with, "Hey, have you ever had a dream to where you were so sure it was real, you didn't know what to believe?" And so, as the mirror liquid is assimilating him, we get a shot of Trinity looking up at Neon's like, yeah, you might be tripping balls now. So, like, he so Morpheus is like, "Hey, did you uh did you locate Neo's body yet?" He's talking to the operator, who is Tank. We gonna find him, look at him in a minute. So after that, uh they find his body and locate him in the harvest fields in, like, one of them pods. And so they basically assimilate him and then find him. His body is in this big old container filled with liquid, and he's hooked up to tubes and stuff. When he wakes up, he comes out of it, and these, spider bots, they, sedate them and then hook them back up into the Matrix. But this one grabs him by the throat and disconnects him, where he just leaves him alone and flushes him down. Yeah, he flushes him where the hovercraft picks him up. Morpheus, upon picking him up, Neo's like, hey, like, am I dead? He was like, no, far from it. He was like, he was like, hey. And then that's when they go to work on him and try to, like, rebuild his muscles. And so, fix him up. After that, after that, they wind up, training, Neo to, like, understand what the Matrix is. And, this is where we get, like, the backstory of, like, how the machines, like, rose up and, like, enslaved humanity, where, where through a bit of dialogue with Morpheus, he was like, hey, welcome to the desert of the real. He was like, hey, you've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is, the 20th century as it exists today. He was like, we don't know who struck first, us or the machines, but it was us who scorched the sky. He was like, the machines had, found all the endless energy that they would ever need, us. And he's like, watch them, liquefy the dead so they could be fed intravenously, so that they could, turn a simple human being into a battery. And then, like, he snaps him. He, wakes up in shock and, like, passes out. And he tells Neo of the one. And so they, and so Morpheus winds up, you know, just telling Neo all about the Matrix. He was like, hey, if you're not one of us, you're one of them, one of the agents. The agents could, hijack, people, in and out of the Matrix. They have rules fundamental to the Matrix, but they could tap into any software unit still hardwired to the Matrix. He was like, you got to understand, most of these people aren't ready to be unplugged. He was like, they become hopelessly dependent on the system. They will try their hardest to defend it. You got to understand, like, hey, but until we do, they are our enemy. And so, after that, they go to, Morpheus and Neo go to see the Oracle. So, who is, she's basically the mother of the Matrix, and she tells Neo, she's like, hey, don't worry about the vase. She has like a room full of potentials, like people like using their telepathy to like move stuff. You got another one like playing chess. You got another one like over in the corner reading. And the cool thing about it was that inside of the Matrix there was a slight little Easter egg of this movie where this scientist like created this uh I think it was this plant, and he had like a bunch of bunnies, and they ate this plant, and then like they became big bunnies and started taking over like the town or city or whatever. And so, it was just an allegory for, the setup of the Matrix, where humans created, AI, artificial intelligence, to like help, and it wind up taking over. Yeah. But anyway, uh the Oracle winds up seeing Neo. He winds up breaking the vase, and she already knew he would break the vase. And so the cool thing about Oracle was her and, the architect, they were actually working together, but we go get into that, in Matrix Reloaded. But anyway, like later on down the line. Um, After that, she gives him a cookie, and she tells him that, hey, he's not the one, which she planted out within Neo to make him realize his full potential so that he could be the one later on down the line. And so she gives him a cookie, he winds up eating it, and she winds up, you know, telling him like, hey, once you step outside that door, you're gonna feel right as rain. And so he leaves, and they wind up going to this hideout where, Cypher's that guy from, the beginning of the voiceover for like the film, where soon as he got out the car and Cypher got out the car, yeah, Neo got out the car and Cypher got out the car with him. He winds up smiling, and he doesn't even acknowledge him because he already knew what was up. And so Neo winds up seeing a black cat, and then he sees another black cat over top of the black cat, and he's like, deja vu. And everybody freezes. It's like, hey, what'd you just say? It was like, it's a glitch in the Matrix. Yo, oh my gosh, they almost got caught. They almost got caught. The agents were right on top of them. You know, they wound up like hiding through the floor. Cypher, he was a double agent. Cypher, he was a double agent. He was, working with the machines. He started coughing. He was like, and like Smith wound up, gripping Neo up, and then Morpheus a real one because he was like, yeah, no, you got to get Neo out. This, that, and the third, and like, and so like them agents, they were built different. They were built different. Like Morpheus put up a fight, but like he was no match for the agents. So, after that, they all escape. Cypher, comes back. Tank the operator gets like incapacitated by the lightning gun, and then his big brother Dozer gets killed by the lightning gun. Uh Switch and APOC, they wind up getting unplugged, which kills them. And then like Tank winds up, and then Cypher's like, hey, I didn't believe any of this. I just wanted to go back and be in my pod, just chilling. He was like, hey, there's got to be some miracle why I don't unplug him. And once you know it, he was like, "No, I don't believe it." He was, Tank winds up coming back on his feet and like killing Cypher. And so after that, they wind up going back to the ship. Meanwhile, Agent Smith winds up giving trying to break Morpheus's mind to try to get out of the simulation matrix. So he winds up giving him a truth serum to like to get the code to Zion's mainframe so that he could, get out. He doesn't do that, so Neo winds up going inside the Matrix. And this has to be like one of my favorite scenes in the Matrix. This man, like Neo winds up going through the metal detector with full guns blazing, like full guns. He was like, "Hey, what is this?" He was like, and then like shoots the guards with not looking at him. The classic Matrix scene move. And so him and Trinity, they wind up clearing the room out. They wind up attaching the bomb to the elevator and not zip lining all the way up to the roof where uh where they wind up taking care of the guards. One of the agents winds up, materializing and tries to shoot Neo. Neo dodges it, in slow-mo fashion. Yeah, in slow-mo fashion, they wind up getting, a chopper to rescue Morpheus. Morpheus winds up breaking out of his handcuffs while sedated. They Morpheus winds up jumping out of the building. Neo catches him. Agent Smith like shoots the helicopter. They wind up, you know, leaving the helicopter, and they go to a payphone. They wind up Morpheus, exits the Matrix, and then Trinity exits the Matrix, and then Neo, you know, tries to exit the Matrix, where Agent Smith uh goes and materializes. He shoots the payphone, but instead of running away, Neo actually fights uh Agent Smith, where this is where like Tank and Morpheus, they start to, believe. He was like, hey, he's beginning to believe this, that, and the third. He was like, Tank was like, what's going on? What's happening? He was like, he's beginning to believe. And so after he, after Neo fights Agent Smith, he winds up running to get a payphone, because it's a payphone right at the start of the the hotel scene. I think it was like a heart motel, something. Yeah, a heart motel. So he winds up finding the room where the payphone is, and while that's going on, the squiddies, which are mechanical squid like monsters, they wind up seeing the Nebuchadnezzar hovercraft, and they trying to break in. So, while that's going on, Neo's in the Matrix, they prep the EMP, Morpheus, has it ready on standby. He was like, hey, he's gonna make it. And so, after that, Neo gets shot by Agent Smith. Agent Smith's like, goodbye, Mr. Anderson. And then Trinity like brings him back with the kiss and revives him to where he's like, hey, Agent Smith like try then Agent Smith like tries to come back and fight him. Just, you knew it was something serious when Neo put his hand out. It was like, no. It's like he stopped the bullets. He stopped the bullets and then was like picked up the bullet, looked at it, and then dropped it on the ground and it started falling. And like he saw the Matrix in green code and like the choir heavenly music started amping up and like just bruh. He this movie like yo and like we knew it was over and done with when like Agent Smith like came back and tried to fight Neo and Neo was went off to the side. It was like wop 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 and just started fighting him one handed with the foot of, and then came through in the clutch with the foot of justice. And then as soon as Neo ran up to Agent Smith, he jumped inside of his body and assimilated him from the inside out, causing the two agents that were chasing him, along with Agent Smith, to like completely run in the opposite direction because they ain't want no smoke with with Jesus Neo. So like, and then after that, Trinity, tells him to run in the real world, and he does, and all of the squiddies that got hit by the EMP, they were like done for. So Neo and Trinity, they wind up having a tender, tender moment, kiss, and he's like, hey, and she was like, hey, I love you. That's what the Oracle told me. The Oracle told me I'll fall in love with the one. Here you are. And then we get like a cool little shot of, Neo inside the Matrix, making a call to like the architect. And it was cool because it said like anomaly it detected. And he was like, and he was, Neo was like, hey, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm going to show these people what you don't want me to see. What you don't want them to see, I'm going to show them where, there's a world without no borders, controls, rules, without you. Hey, it's a choice I leave to you, whether you want to, let this be peaceful or we can throw hands. Like I leave this choice to you. And then he like flies off and then he flies off and then it cuts off. It's like this movie is beautifully well written and is crafted and I like it and boy just I like it. I like it a lot. And yeah. And yeah, this is The Matrix. 1999's The Matrix movie review. I'm your host, Red Hood 29. I'll catch y'all in the next video for more The Matrix Trilogy. Peace.